What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know Patriots Global here, back with another video. In this one, I'm continuing to update you guys with New England Patriots training camp. A little bit behind on this, like I mentioned before, so you guys are going to be getting a flood of videos over, today, tomorrow, because unfortunately, your boy hasn't been able to make videos with some stuff I mentioned to you guys on my community tab. So, shout out to you guys who kind of stay up to date with the channel. But nonetheless, have to get this video out for you guys. These things are very, very important. But this is going to be the recap for August 3rd. This is day 6 of New England Patriots training camp. First day with pads on. So, guys that were absent here: Jarrett Stidham, Devin Asiasi, Dalton Keene, Ted Karras still dealing with that injury. Chase Winovich still out. Henry Anderson out. Byron Cowart, Terez Hall, Cameron McGrone, Stephon Gilmore, Joshua Bledsoe. Like I mentioned to you guys in my previous video, the Patriots really are dealing with a good amount of injuries here. Now, yes, most of them are expected to be minor. They did have one big one, as we all know, Raekwon McMillan, rest in peace. And it's one of those things where you hope that this is just a thing where you get it out of the way now and not something that is a sign of what is to come. Pray to God that they're just getting these injuries out now, get everybody back healthy for the start of the season, and that this is not a sign of players continuously getting injured and putting the team in a bad position for the 2021 season. Knock on wood, my friends. But returned here, Devin Asiasi returned a little bit. He was at practice, not a full participant, but we'll get into that. Kyle Van Noy, still in that red no contact jersey. At this point, I won't be surprised if he is in that for all of camp. Like I mentioned, today was also the first day of pads. With that being said, the Patriots did have referees at today's practice because of it. Teddy Bruschi was also in attendance today, just like they always have some special guests. So like I mentioned, Devin Asiasi was present, but he was working on the lower field with the injured players. So getting back into things, but you're not really seeing him, in competitive drills, working with the starting offense. Now, unfortunately, Christian Barmore, the Patriots rookie defensive tackle, did not finish today's practice due to a left foot/ankle injury. He ended up getting it taped up, got his shoe back on, but he did not go back to practice. He ended up just sitting out for the rest of the day. Still a good sign that he didn't go to the locker room, but they said he did have a limp. Again, all of these injuries and not something you want to watch. Now, Raekwon McMillan did get rolled up during a special teams drill, got checked out, and did not return. I'm pretty sure that this is the play in which he tore his ACL. Like I mentioned, though, we're going to make a whole video on that. Overall, for day 1 of pads, it was more focused on running the ball, not so much passing. I'm not too surprised about that, just because, hey, Belichick himself was not happy with the fact that they had to wait so long to get pads on. And when you don't have pads on, it's kind of just a little bit of a run through, two-hand touch kind of a football practice when it comes to the running game. So I think they wanted to focus more on that now that they can actually tackle. But to get a little bit into the passing here for the quarterbacks, in 11-on-11s, Cam Newton was 5 for 7. Mac Jones was just 1 for 6 with an interception. In 7-on-7s, Cam Newton was 6 for 10. Mac Jones was 8 for 8. Cam Newton had one of his best practices overall, was much more accurate, got rid of the ball quicker, lots of good plays, kind of something we expected. You heard a lot about, Cam Newton's the type of guy that when the pads go on, that's his type of game. He can run more. It's a more full-on, in-depth practice where he can actually do more rather than walking through, which is more his play style. So I think a lot of us did expect him to look a little bit better, at least once those pads went on, and that was the case here. Overall, Mac Jones, very inconsistent day. Cam Newton was the better quarterback by far. Looked like he was overwhelmed at times, looked a little bit too slow. He should have had overall 3 interceptions for day 1 of padded practice and day 6 overall of training camp. Not accurate down the field. Just overall, reporters say it was his worst practice yet. Now, as for the running backs here, Sony Michel, they said, stood out a lot more with his hands. And this is something that I told you guys before, that Sony looks like he's getting much more involved within the passing game. And I think that's going to bode really, really well for him if he's able to. We were talking about Sony Michel really being a one-dimensional running back, kind of helping the offense be just predictable. When he's on the field, you know it's going to be a run play. But now he's kind of adding some versatility to his game, and they're saying he even looks quicker. So could be a good year for Sony Michel. Now, on one play, the rookie running back Ramondre Stevenson ran over Miles Bryant. There's a video somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I think you can find it on Twitter somewhere, but just a crazy play. Damian Harris was going crazy for Ramondre Stevenson. Now, I will say, spoiler alert, Miles Bryant did get back at him a couple days after in practice, but Ramondre Stevenson looked like he got another 10, 15 yards after trucking Miles Bryant. So it looks like the new version of LeGarrette Blount is truly coming out. Now, as for the wide receivers here, Nelson Agholor caught a 50-yard touchdown on a nice ball from Cam Newton, beat Kyle Duggar on the play. Nelson Agholor continues to be easily the Patriots' #1 receiver. Now, Kendrick Bourne did stand out in one-on-ones. He went undefeated, 3-0 in all of his matchups. All of those wins also came against J.C. Jackson, to note that. Now, N'Keal Harry also won all 3 of his one-on-one matchups. Those were against Jonathan Jones, Juwan Williams, and also Michael Jackson. So, obviously, he wasn't going up against Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, but he was still going up against Jonathan Jones, who's very good, and then, Williams and Michael Jackson. So, I mean, not a whole boat ton to say about that. But one of his catches, this being N'Keal Harry, received the loudest roar of the day. There was one point where N'Keal Harry brought to the sideline for a quick talk with Bill Belichick. Kind of looked like more of a teaching moment for him. N'Keal Harry, guys, really looking good in practice so far. Now, we do know that N'Keal Harry mostly has been someone who is a guy that stands out in training camp, but more specifically, he just looks more comfortable, to more understanding. It looks like the Patriots are just using him more to his legitimate strengths, which is something they didn't really do before. So this puts N'Keal Harry's situation on a whole nother level, and it's something that we might have to make a whole new video on. This makes the situation just that much more complicated on what is going to happen with N'Keal Harry. Now, lastly here for the wide receivers, Christian Wilkerson, again, guys, standing out in the end zone, yet again, as he had a touchdown grab from Cam Newton. Now, as for the tight ends here, Hunter Henry had a 15-yard catch on a ball thrown from Cam Newton. It was a really, really nice catch, had Kyle Duggar in coverage, tight coverage at that too. So really a good placed ball by Cam Newton, but also just a good catch in traffic there by Hunter Henry. Now, Jonnu Smith also made a very nice sideline grab from Cam Newton in 7-on-7s. And when I say very nice, I mean toe tapping, falling over, like, this is the type of play that you would see from like a Julio Jones. It was a very, very nice play, very agile play from a very big tight end that Jonnu Smith is. Now, both Jonnu Smith and Jakob Johnson made some really nice kick-out blocks in the running game. This is something that Jakob Johnson specifically really needed to have because Jonnu Smith could give him a run for his money. Yeah, they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, potentially 13 personnel at times. So you might see a good amount of Jonnu Smith at fullback still. My point being, yeah, you're going to see a lot of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry on the field at the same time, but we're seeing Jonnu a lot at that fullback position in H-back, like I mentioned before to you guys. Could potentially give Jakob Johnson a run for his money if the Patriots say, hey, we want to roll with another safety. We want to roll with another, wide receiver, and we can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. But both of those guys making really nice run blocks here. As for the offensive line here, not too much to say, but both Shaq Mason and David Andrews both stood out in one-on-ones. Overall, from what I'm hearing, the dynamic of the guard-to-tackle duo, both with Onwenu and Wynn, and with Mason and Brown, just looks spectacular. So as long as they're healthy, this offensive line, I really believe, will be top 3. Now, guys, let's move on to the defense here. The Patriots' interior defensive line starters looked very, very good against the run, guys. This is something we wanted to hear. This is pads. This is where, guys, you can truly see what you're going to potentially get from your team and your defensive line, because let's remember, before pads, this was kind of just 2-hand touch, walk through, but now they were kind of able to get more in depth, and stopping the run looks a whole lot better. And this is against good running backs. This is against a good offensive line that the Patriots have. So it looks like stopping the run and the priority Belichick put on that in the offseason could very well pay off. They mentioned that those guys within the interior of the defensive line are guys that are very tough to move. That is something very different from what we saw last year, where no matter who it seemed we were playing, offensive linemen could just move our interior defensive linemen out of the way with pretty much ease. Now, Christian Barmore was a standout on one-on-ones, was able to return back to practice today after a little bit of a scare yesterday. Great to hear. He had a couple of wins in the middle against William Sherman. One of them was on the edge also, so he played both DT and DE. This was against RJ Prince, in which overall, today, Christian Barmore was 5-0 in total, so with all his reps, he was undefeated. Now, Rashad Berry also did beat Prince very nicely. Rashad Berry, low-key standing out. Somebody to watch here. A lot being talked about the rookie defensive tackle Christian Barmore here. They said that he was once again getting a lot of starting reps next to Lawrence Guy. So, although the Patriots do have a lot of depth on that defensive line, especially a lot of veterans, this could be a situation where, as a rookie, Christian Barmore could see a decent amount of playing time in year one. Now, Dietrich Wise did have a run stuff today within the interior of the defensive line. Montravius Adams and Bill Murray did struggle in one-on-ones. Montravius Adams, from what I have been hearing, has been performing pretty well. I don't think personally I saw much when I was at training camp to be able to say anything, so I'm not exactly sure what they saw that I didn't exactly get to see. I mean, obviously I trust the mainstream media with what they're saying, but it's going to be tough for Montravius Adams to make this final roster, but maybe if he has a really good preseason and joint practices, he could put those together and make a push to make the final roster, but he's going to be competing with guys like Carl Davis, so this is a legitimate battle with the Patriots defensive line and who's going to make the roster. But linebackers here, interceptions. Juwan Bentley had one. In one-on-one running drills, Anthony Jennings actually dominated them. You love to hear that. You know, we haven't heard much about Anthony Jennings, and I feel like I've heard his name a little bit more this offseason. I'm going to be really excited, actually, to see him in joint practices and to see him in these preseason games, because Anthony Jennings was highly thought upon when the Patriots drafted him, and his rookie year just didn't see anything from him. You know, he was a guy who's very good at stopping the run, a guy who was good at setting the edge in college, came to the NFL, and we just did not see that. So I'm excited to see, you know, what potentially Jennings has in store for year two. Now, Jennings later on did drop an interception on a ball from Mac Jones, so someone who should have had an interception also. So if he did have that interception, I think it would have been more talked about for a very good day for him, but nonetheless, still somebody to watch. Now, Matthew Judon did look great in his one-on-one matchups, had two stuffs against the run, and then Juwan Bentley also did have one. The backup offensive tackles were no match for Josh Uche in one-on-ones. He was winning against Cunningham, Cajuste. I mean, These backup tackles are probably one of my biggest concerns. Obviously, you have on one who can kick out to tackle if needed, but Cajuste is not looking good. Cunningham isn't looking good. I'm not too sure about the rookie in William Sherman. Haran does look good. That's promising, but still, that's only one backup tackle. So if there's really one position that kind of concerns me, it's going to be that depth at tackle for the team. As for the cornerbacks here, pass breakups, Michael Jackson was able to get one. Jawan Williams was struggling a good amount today in one-on-ones, losing both his chances against Aguilar and Harry. I don't know. I don't see Jawan Williams as a corner. I never really saw him as a corner, even when they drafted him. You love that size, but even when he was drafted, we were talking about putting him at safety, so I don't know. It's going to be tough for Jawan Williams to make this final roster. Just not looking good, not showing really any promise. Now, Jalen Mills here also had a pass breakup. Jonathan Jones had one. Justin Bethel had two. And they were all winning their one-on-one matchups. Safeties here, pass breakups. Kyle Duggar had one. Duggar later dropped an interception on a pass from Mac Jones. I feel like that has been a big thing also so far that I've heard in training camp is a lot of these guys should be making interceptions, but they're not. I feel like every day I'm hearing at least one guy that should have had an interception defensively but dropped it. You got to make those plays. That is the difference between giving the offense another chance and giving the opposing offense another chance also at potentially going down and winning a game. So those guys need to make these plays, and they need to come down with those interceptions and secure it. Because, hey, it's great if you get in the middle of a passing lane and you're able to break up a play. But at the same time, let's say that's on a second down and you don't make that interception that you should have had. They can come back on third down, easily complete it, pick up the first, and they can go down and get a touchdown as where they shouldn't have been able to if you just made that interception. Now, lastly, here with special teams, Christian Wilkerson has been working very, very closely with Matthew Slater the past few days. Christian Wilkerson, always the guy who said, yo, play me as much as special teams as humanly possible. He's somebody that's looking good offensively as a wide receiver, but someone who also wants to get in at every possible option, every possible way, every opportunity he can when it comes to special teams. Other players that are getting a lot of special team works and reps are Ronnie Perkins, Rashad Berry, and Harvey Longy. Dietrich Wise was also seen practicing as a lawn snapper, so very interesting and something to watch there, as it looks like he could be the Patriots' backup lawn snapper. Now, before we end this video off, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this video and the sponsors of this channel, betonline.ag. Now, betonline has the fastest and the easiest ways to bet on all of your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, the NHL, there's still a full swing, and betonline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV with real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline also has you covered for all of the news, scores, and odds, and it's the best way to place your bets, and it's completely free to sign up. All you guys got to do is head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts, guys. Go ahead, check them out. I promise you guys are not going to regret it. And again, make sure you use that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. But this is the first day of Patriots pads in training camp, day 6 overall. Recapped. What are your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news and coverage. But like always, appreciate you guys. Catch you in the next one.